Hey, what's up? My name is Hagen, and in this video I'm gonna break down how we took this info/consulting offer from $16,000 per month, as you can see right here, so almost nothing, to $100,000 per month within a couple of weeks, and we've been hitting six-figure months ever since, actually about to hit our first $200,000 month. So I'm basically gonna show you a good before and after, so I'm gonna show you what they were doing before and the problems that they were seeing before. All right, I'm gonna show you the exact funnel that we're using now that allowed us to get to $100,000 per month very fast and now multiple six figures a month. And then I'm gonna explain why this exact type of funnel works so well right now for any info and consulting offer, and why you should do the exact same thing if you're stuck anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000 per month with your info offer. So let's just jump right into it. Oh yeah, and by the way, we've obviously done well over six figures. Okay, and info sales, we've actually done around seven figures in info sales together with our partners. I have some screenshots right here. Okay, just so you know that I'm actually credible to talk about this stuff. So yeah, let me just break down what they were doing right now, and it's probably what most people do at this stage. Okay, so they had a YouTube channel and an Instagram page. All right, from the YouTube channel they were running a VSL call funnel. All right, from the Instagram they only had a DM funnel. They were also sending people to the VSL call funnel, by the way. So yeah, that way, like, these were the two funnels that they were using to get calls booked. All right, so they booked a call from there. They had an unclear offer. I'm gonna break down what that means in a second right here, and how we changed that, which was obviously one of our biggest levers that we could pull. Right, so they had an unclear offer, and from there they only had a closing call. That's it. Okay, no pre-call process, no post booking nothing. Okay, this was the funnel that they were running. So let me show you what the problems were with this type of funnel. So they said that they were only getting low quality leads, which doesn't really mean low quality, because it just means that the leads were too early in the sales cycle. Okay, or there was no ICP to offer fit. I'm gonna break that down as well in a couple of seconds right here. And also it was super unpredictable, and the traffic and the call volume was super fluctuating, again because they were only relying on organic. Okay, no paid ads, no nothing. So it was super unpredictable and unreliable. The founder had to post content. All right, otherwise they would just stop making money. Okay, because it was organic. And yeah, they were having low show rates, low close rates, even though it was organic, simply because the funnel wasn't optimized. I'm gonna show you what we did in a second right here. But yeah, low show and close rates, low PIF rates. Even if people were signing up, they were only getting them on payment plans. And the leads really had low conviction in the actual offer, because again, there was no real ICP to offer fit. The closers couldn't communicate it that well because the offer was a bit unclear. The leads were uneducated before they were getting on the calls, so they were super skeptical. And yeah, again, this goes with the same thing that I just said. They said that the lead quality was low. Okay, they had shit leads, which obviously wasn't the case, as we're gonna see in a couple of seconds right here. And the sales team was just churning all the time. Okay, people were coming in, going away within a couple of days, because they had no, they didn't see the vision with this offer right here, because again, they had all these problems with this type of funnel right here. So here's how we fix it. Okay, this is the exact funnel infrastructure that we're using right now. I'm actually gonna break down every single step of the funnel right here in depth. Okay, so yeah, our front end funnel, essentially, besides the DM funnel on Instagram that we keep running because it makes sense to run it, our main funnel on the front end is the weekly live webinars. Okay, we run weekly live webinars. We run paid ads to them. We put them into our YouTube descriptions. Okay, we also do it on Instagram once a month, because we don't want to burn our organic audience that much. Okay, and post another story sequence every single day to our webinars. So we don't do that too often, just once a month. But yeah, that's our main front end funnel. Okay, we still have a VSL call funnel that comes later on, that we send people to from the weekly live webinars. But the reason we're using it on our front end funnel is because if you want to run paid ads, which I would highly recommend if you actually want to get to multiple six figures a month with your info offer, and you want to do it predictably and reliably, okay, you have to run paid ads. And the thing with paid ads is that people are coming in cold. Okay, they have no idea who you are, they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. Okay, so what you have to do in order to convert them, to get them to consume as much content as possible within a very short time frame, and also handle all of the objections again within that short time frame, right? We this weekly live webinar funnel, this takes 3 to 5 days. Okay, we start running our ads 3 to 5 days before we launch the webinar. Okay, we do it on every Thursday, and we start the ads on Sundays, right? And within those 3 to 5 days that we run it, we have so much content that they're consuming. All right, I'm gonna break this exact funnel down in a couple of seconds right here. We have so much content that they're consuming within those 3 to 5 days that they're already that they're ready to buy before we even pitch them. Okay, so yeah, we have this whole infrastructure right here where they get from the ads, they get to an opt-in page right here. Then from there they get to a confirmation page, which already starts handling the objections and nurtures them for the webinar. Right, we send them to this whole pre-webinar education system. Okay, we have 15 emails that we're sending out pre-webinar. We have retargeting ads going, 30 to 50 retargeting ads that we're sending within those 3 to 5 days where the webinar promo is happening. We use our YouTube video to nurture them. We have SMS blasts, Telegram, lead magnets, okay? And this is all before the webinar even happens, okay? So we get them to consume a ton of content there, and then they hop on the webinar, which is also why we get high show rates for the webinars. And the webinar itself is a long-form piece of content. They're gonna spend 2 hours together with you live before you ever pitch them. Okay, so there is so much stuff happening before you ever pitch them that it's so much more likely that people actually book a call and also convert, especially cold traffic. Okay, especially with cold traffic, because you again have to get them to consume a ton of content in a very short time frame if you actually want them to convert. Okay, so we have all of this stuff right here, and that's why we use our webinar funnel as a front end funnel. Okay, obviously after they book a call from the webinar, we have this whole back end education system that again nurtures them even more before they hop on that call with the closers. Okay, and yeah, I'm gonna break this system down in a second right here, but yeah, that's the reason why we're using webinars on our front end. Okay, we just get people to consume a lot of content over a short period of time. We get a ton of cheap leads coming in between $5 to $10. All right, and from there they get through this entire webinar funnel. We get a good amount of people to consume a lot of content, a good amount of them convert, and if they don't convert, then we have a lot of other stuff that is going on. Okay, so if they don't convert from a webinar funnel, okay, we run retargeting ads to every single person who opted in, right? So again, every single person who opts into the webinar funnel for very cheap, we don't lose them. Okay, they're in our ecosystem essentially. So we're gonna get them to convert eventually. Okay, so we run retargeting ads to those leads and get them to the VSL call funnel. So as I said, we still use a VSL call funnel. Obviously we had to change the VSL and stuff like that, but yeah, we use that. We use retargeting ads to send them back to the VSL funnel, every single person who didn't convert, and get calls booked through that as well. And also another thing that we do, we obviously have SDRs, and we have our YouTube channel, we have our emails, we have all of that stuff to nurture them and get them to book a call later on. Okay, so every single person, for example, who opts in and doesn't convert, we have our SDRs calling them up, okay, getting them to book a call. We use our emails and our YouTube channel to essentially nurture them for a very long time so that eventually they're gonna feel ready to book a call. Okay, that's what we do with the webinars, right? So every single lead, we maximize every single lead. Okay, we get a ton of people to consume a lot of content, we get a ton of people to convert from the webinar directly and book a call. Every single person doesn't convert in those 3 to 5 days. We run retargeting ads, we nurture them with our organic, we use our SDRs, all of that stuff. This is like a flywheel funnel that gets you calls booked 24/7 and very high intent calls. And one thing that we introduce as well is a YouTube flywheel VSL. Okay, so we use a YouTube flywheel VSL. What that is basically just an organic VSL. It's a long form training, about an hour, a bit longer than an hour. All right, and instead of putting our VSL link in our Instagram bio, we just put that YouTube organic VSL link in our Instagram bio. They get to that whole free training, and in that YouTube VSL description, we're gonna put in our VSL funnel. So that's how we use Instagram as well. So we have our Instagram, obviously we get people to DM us, okay, and then we have a DM funnel, a DM setter in there, and we also put the flywheel VSL in here in the Instagram description to nurture leads even more. Okay, so we get them into our YouTube ecosystem, and chances are if they watch this one video, they're gonna watch more videos, they're gonna sign up for the webinar, or they just get to the VSL call funnel directly from this YouTube organic VSL. Okay, whatever might work for the lead specifically. But yeah, that's our entire funnel on the front end, right? This is what we use to get calls, super high intent calls booked 24/7. And once they book a call, they get to the back end education system. This is also something that we added, okay, so that we actually get people to show up and close. Okay, even though our leads are super nurtured through this entire process, we still have the setup to nurture them even further. Okay, so what that could look like is something like this. So we have a pre-framing confirmation page with FAQ videos. Okay, for like we have a next steps video that breaks down exactly what's going to happen between now and the call and what our main goal is, which is educating them on the offer. We let them know that in that next steps video. Then we have FAQ videos, we have testimonials, we have case studies, and all of that is on the pre-call confirmation page. To like, this is the first step of that whole backend education system, because it's the first thing that they see right after booking a call. Okay, so that's the one thing that we do. We obviously have SDRs calling the leads immediately to get them to actually show up to the call and also pre-handle some of the objections, right? We have retargeting ads going. We have 15 long-form pre-call emails going out, okay, between 300 and 500 words, not just some random reminders. We do have text reminders. We have our YouTube channel that we use to handle objections before the call happens. We have our pre-call sales assets that the sellers are sending within the text messages, right? And as I said, text SDR process, for example, we also send them selfie videos, okay? So yeah, we do a lot of stuff, okay? We do a lot of stuff to get people to actually show up to the closing call. and yeah, close. Okay, if they convert, we're obviously going to make money. If they don't convert, we send them to the sales team follow-up. Okay, so the sales team follows up with them, and then they eventually close. Okay, that's the funnel on a very high level. Okay, so we run a webinar funnel on the front end. We have all of this stuff set up. This is like a flywheel. Everything works together. Okay, you don't just have a standalone VSL funnel. You don't just have a standalone webinar funnel. Not just have a standalone Instagram DM funnel. Everything works together right here. If you want to see exactly how this whole webinar funnel works, okay, I have a full 2-hour course on my YouTube channel. It's going to be the first link in this YouTube description of this video right here. You can just check it out. I talk about every single step of the webinar funnel, how to script out the ads and how to run them in the ads manager, how to set up the funnel, how to set up the pre-webinar education system, how to actually set up the webinar script, okay, because almost nobody talks about that on YouTube, right? How to set up all of this stuff. So I talk about it specifically in that YouTube video. Check it out. It's it's super valuable. Okay, just check it out and you're gonna know exactly how to run a webinar funnel. And yeah, let's continue. This is the funnel infrastructure. Also, one thing that I wanted to add in here, which is super important and also helped us get from $16,000 to $100,000 per month, is the offer. Okay, so we restructured / we repositioned the offer. Okay, because if you're as you're gonna see right here, it's not like super different, but it makes a ton of it is framed differently, which is why it works way better. Okay, so this is what the old offer looked like. Okay, it was a $4,000 offer, and as most info offers that are running organically, people don't really put any thoughts in this, so they just have some deliverables that they're throwing at their prospects and hope that they buy. Okay, which doesn't work with paid ads. Okay, it's not gonna work if you do it like that. So what you want to do is, especially if you're running a webinar, you have to reposition your offer and restructure it, okay, into a core offer, your bonuses, and the guarantee. You have to do that if you want to run webinar funnels. Even if you want to run VSL funnels, you have to have this stuff right here. So every single component of the offer has to make sense to the ICP. It has to handle a specific problem or a bottleneck of that the ICP is facing to get to their desired outcome. Okay, the offer has to make sense for the ICP. So what we did is, instead of just having random deliverables, we put the obvious ones into the core offer, which was a one-on-one onboarding call, 3 group coaching calls, community access, and an A to Z course. Okay, and then the most important part here are the bonuses. So we gave them free access to our software tool, okay, which is $6,000 a year, and helps them fix a very, very specific problem and very big problem that most of our leads are having. Okay, we also give them our full SOP library. Okay, we give them access to our development team. So this was for a SaaS offer. All right, so that's why this is also handling a very big objection and fixing a very big problem if they can't code. We give them one-on-one DM access to the offer owner personally. Okay, writing this out as a bonus is framed way more valuable than just saying you're gonna get access to a community. I'm gonna be active in that community. Okay, just write it out. 3 additional one-on-one calls throughout the entire program. Oh yeah, and by the way, this was unlimited access. Okay, unlimited access, and this one is 120 days. Okay, so we put a time frame on it, 120-day program. Okay, so that it makes sense. We frame it as a fast track, right? And then we also have a guarantee. This is not necessarily a money back guarantee. You can also do something like, if you do XYZ and then you put your stipulations right here and still don't make your initial investment in the program within those 120 days, all right, I'm gonna work with you for free until you're ROI positive. This is one way you could do a guarantee. And this is how we also restructured the offer, which made a big difference in our entire process. It got our close rates much higher. Okay, it got our webinar conversion rates much higher if we present that offer versus the old one on a webinar. And it also allowed us to charge more. So instead of 4K, we charge 5K, and it's soon gonna be 7.5K. And then we're just gonna keep increasing the price of the offer. So also very important to look at if you actually want to run an actual business and not just have some random deliverables in your offer. Okay, so once we start running this process right here, what has changed? If you do this, you can actually see very solid numbers, especially on cold traffic. As you can see right here, we recently ran a webinar where we turned $3,000, almost $3,182 into $33,600. As you can see right here, which is almost an 11x ROAS. So this stuff works. Okay, this actually made us way more money later on. Okay, I don't have the follow-up closes from the webinar in here. Okay, so yeah, a very solid and profitable funnel, especially for 2026, where we're in a trust recession and nobody trusts anyone anymore, especially in the info space. So yeah, test it out. This is gonna work for you. All right, so what changed for us once we started running this whole entire process is that we started seeing higher quality leads. As I said, okay, it just seemed higher quality because the leads were much more nurtured by the time they hopped on the sales calls. And they were also ready to buy before they even hopped on that call because they went through so much content before the sales call was even booked. All right. The traffic and the call volume also became very predictable because we didn't rely on organic anymore and on a random algorithm. All right. We started running paid ads, which is very predictable if you know what you're doing. Okay. We had a much higher revenue ceiling, as I said, again, because we can scale predictably on paid ads. We just have to click on spend more. Okay, spend my money even more and you're going to make more money. The revenue ceilings are way higher if you actually start running paid ads. We also don't rely on on my partner, on the founder, posting content anymore. He obviously still posts content because it makes us more money, but he could stop posting right now and we would still make money with this offer simply because we're not relying on it anymore. And also, what that means, once you're not relying on organic content anymore, you're not just going to burn through your entire organic audience by just pitching them every single day. Okay, that's also one thing that changed for us. All right, obviously our show rates and close rates got much higher because, again, they're getting educated way more before they actually book that sales call. Our PIF rates are higher because they're much more nurtured and educated before they hop on the sales call. The sales team actually believes in the offer and they stay super long. Okay, so we don't struggle with much churn in terms of sales team, right? Obviously we have to rotate through setters, for example, if they don't perform well, but it doesn't come from them. Okay, so yeah, we don't rely on the sales team heavily anymore because we have a process that makes it much easier for the sales team. The sales, the closers, at some point they're just going to be cashiers because the leads are going to be so much more nurtured in comparison to just running a funnel like this where you send them from paid ads or Instagram just to some stuff. This is very lazy. Okay, the leads are going to be way harder to close in comparison to when you run something like this, especially also with the offer. Okay, so the sales team, we're not heavily relying on them anymore. We're able to charge more since we changed the offer, and we don't lose the leads throughout the entire funnel. Okay, because again, if they don't convert from a webinar, we send them back to the VSL. We use our SDRs and our YouTube channel, our emails, all of that stuff to nurture them even further. We have our Instagram, we have our YouTube flywheel system. We have a ton of stuff, right? We don't just lose the lead if they don't convert within 3 to 5 days. So yeah, that's what changed. It's just much more enjoyable right now to run the business. Okay, and why does this funnel work so well? Okay, as I said, we get a ton of cheap leads coming in from the ads for the webinar, right? We get them to consume a ton of content in a very short time frame, and by the time we pitch them the offer, they're already pre-framed and ready to buy, so that when they get on that sales call, closing call, they're easy layup deals for your closers. Your closers are gonna love you. Okay, because if you compare it to any other info offer that your closers have been on, okay, this is gonna be way more easy to close and close the leads, which is why your closers are gonna love you, right? We also don't just burn through our organic audience anymore, as I said, because we don't have to pitch them anymore, right? We don't lose the leads that don't get converted by the webinar funnel. As I said, we have a lot of stuff that we can do to not lose the leads. It is predictable, it is scalable. We are about to hit our first $200,000 month next month, and all you have to do to scale this funnel is to look at your numbers and do small but compounding optimizations to your funnel. All right, and then just run more ads. Okay, higher spend, more SDRs, just more of everything, and you're going to be able to scale this funnel. That's why it works so well right now, and it's easily gonna work for you as well if you're running any info/consulting offer. So if you want us to build and launch this entire funnel completely done for you within the next 14 days, where all you have to do is just record some videos and then hop on the webinar once a week, okay, and present it, there's gonna be a link in the description. Okay, just check it out. It's gonna send you to our website. There's gonna be a video that explains our exact offer, and then from there you can book a call. We can hop on a call, talk it through. I'm gonna let you know if this makes sense for you or not, and if it does, we can get started right away. We can build this whole thing out within the next 14 days and scale to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures a month with your offer. All right, other than that, I appreciate you watching this video, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Peace.